Hey, and good afternoon. This is Angela Brown, and today we are talking about onboarding, training, and cleaning staff. Now, over the last 32 years, I've learned a lot about onboarding and the onboarding process. And the reason this becomes so incredibly important when we're talking about hiring new staff is because if you don't take control from the very minute that you start hiring people, it loses confidence in the people that you're hiring. Okay. They lose their confidence in you and they start taking advantage of you. And many cleaning business owners have told me over the years that they feel like their employees are taking their company hostage. And so, if you don't start out from the very beginning in the hiring process and take control of the situation and let them know that you are in charge and that there's a process and there's a structure that's in place, what's going to happen is your employees will show up for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, they start questioning the process or the standard operating procedures. And then they start kind of filling in the blanks and they make stuff up and they kind of wing it as many cleaning business owners are also winging it. And then what happens is there's a bunch of confusion and chaos. And then the business owner gets really stressed out and really anxious and says, "This is not what I intended." And it's their fault. Okay. So today we're going to take control of the situation as cleaning business owners. We're going to take back our companies and we're going to do it by creating a structure and a process that's very systematic. Now, the cool part about this structure is that it is so systematic that you can easily turn it over to a lead and have them run this entire part of your cleaning business. So, right now, if you are a solo operator and you're expanding your business, or if you're a small company and you have 3, 4, 5, or 10 employees and you're running the business yourself, listen very closely today. Okay. Today is a really important day on onboarding and training staff because after today, there will be no guesswork left. We're going to be very specific about the process from the day that you hire someone all the way through to the day that they're working on their own. Okay. We're going to be very specific. I am going to invite you to jump in and leave your questions and comments in the comment bar. We're going to answer as many of those as possible today. But what I want to share with you is the process that I've learned by trial and error over the last 33 years that I've been in the cleaning business. And then by helping hundreds and literally thousands of cleaning business owners across the country in 37 countries and 191 languages now. The process that we've refined over and over and over and over. So we've tweaked everything and we found out what did work and what didn't work. And when something kind of worked and it kind of didn't, we tweaked it again. So don't mess with the system. Okay. I just want you to take it in, give it a try, and then let's see if it works for you. Okay. Don't argue with it and don't go, "Oh, that would never work for me," until you give it a try. Okay. We've tried this on hundreds and hundreds of cleaning business owners and their processes. And this is what we have found works. Okay. So I'm super excited. Yay. All right. The first thing that I want to share with you is this is a program that we're doing called onboarding, training, and cleaning staff. And so this is where you're going to find this. If you go back and you look in your archives to watch this again, if you have questions or comments from today, I do invite you to pull out your smartphones and take pictures of the things that I'm going to show you. I will also provide handouts at the end for you. So at the end, you will have a list of the resources that I want to make available to you. What we're going to cover today is we're going to cover the first 24 hours after you hire somebody. Then what? Then what do you do? They said, "Yes, we want to come work for you." Then what? Okay. We're going to have that very specific go-to step-by-step process. We're going to cover the company culture and expectations. Again, if we don't create the expectations up front, everything runs amok. And then the employees have no idea what it is that they're representing. And they are an extension of your company brand. So we want to be very clear what those expectations are. Third thing we're going to cover are comprehensive training for cleaning. And this is going to be all of the cleaning procedures from pickup to inventory to drop off, all the things. Okay. We're going to talk about the hands-on training for job shadowing. And this is how somebody actually learns how to clean. And then we're going to talk about assessments and certifications, because once cleaners are trained and certified, now they have another layer of confidence that they bring with them to the job. They now understand safety data sheets. They now understand chemical safety, things like that, right? We want to make sure that they know how to respond in situations when there might be surprises and they have to act on their own. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is continuing education and special projects. These are things that they're not going to learn in the first 90 days. And the first 90 days is not going to cover mommy's helper packages and special packages and deep cleanings and move in, move out cleanings and all those things. That's going to come later after they've proven themselves. So let's go ahead and get started. At the end, we will have a Q&A. So if you have questions that you don't want to ask during the process, we'll save a couple minutes there at the end where we can answer those. All right, so the first 24 hours, this is a really exciting time for cleaning business owners because as a cleaning business owner, you're hiring somebody because you want to grow your business. And so you're excited and there's this level of energy that you're bringing with you to the hiring process. And if you are the person that's doing the writing the ads, the recruiting, the interviewing, the hiring process, you're probably also the person that's doing the training. So this is an exciting time, but I want to warn you because nobody will tell you this up front, but it can also be incredibly draining. And so we want to be very careful about that we know what we're doing, number one, and that we go into it with a specific process. Okay. If you just wing it and say, oh, yeah, show up every day and we'll go clean houses together and I'll show you the ropes. At the end of the first week or two, the business owner is absolutely exhausted and they're worn out because they're trying to do all the things. They're trying to do the training and assessing the new person and reading the body language of the new hire. And do they like the job? Do they not like the job? Are they listening to what I'm saying? Do they understand what I'm saying? Are they getting it? And then you get home and you're just exhausted and you don't clean as fast when you are training someone as you do when you're cleaning alone. So for this reason, what we're going to do when we hire somebody, we talked about this in the previous session. So if you missed the previous session, I want you to go back and watch it again in tandem with this when you're reviewing your notes. And it looks like this. It's the hiring cleaning staff. The hiring cleaning staff goes through the hiring process and it will share with you all the things leading up to setting the expectations for the job that you're doing. And we talked in that particular session about hiring people for 16 hours a week. So this is 4 days a week, 4 hours per session. It's going to be 16 hours a week. So if you're the person that's doing the training, what's going to happen is now you are only guaranteeing 16 hours of your week for training. Okay. So that's going to give you a little bit of a break and you've got all the rest of the day to recover. And if you're cleaning solo, you can go clean another house by yourself and still be up to speed and keep on schedule with that. Because like I said, it's going to take a little bit longer and you're going to go slower if you have somebody shadowing you on the job. Okay, so the first 24 hours, the person shows up for the first day of the job. The first day of the job is going to be unlike any other day of the job, okay? Because every other day of the job, they're going to show up and they're going to go through a process where they pick up and drop off cleaning supplies. The first day, this is not that day, okay? The first 90 days of the cleaning window, like I got hired today, I'm a new cleaner. The first 90 days is going to be a probationary window. During that probationary window, they're going to be on training pay, not regular pay, training pay. And that's usually a by the hour training pay. Okay. What that is usually $15. It's around $15 to $17 per hour. So that's the training window. And so that you can factor in times 16 hours per week. Okay. In most areas, that's minimum wage or slightly above. In North Carolina, I know the minimum wage, I think, is still like $7.50 or $7.85 or something like that. But the going rate is going to be $15 to $17 per hour. You can go as high as $20 per hour, but this is training pay. Okay. This is not the regular money they're going to be making. Once they get out of the probationary window, a whole bunch of things open up to them. They get paid by the job, which is by the house, instead of by the hour. And you can also decide to keep them on by the hour if you want. It's going to be up to you and how your business is set up. But also, they can't swap off any shifts during the 90-day probationary window. And so while we have, and we'll talk a little bit later about having a calendar where people can pick up and swap off shifts and they got to call out or whatever, they find their own replacements. They cannot do that for the first 90 days. First 90 days, they're expected to show up. They are on trial. Okay. They're showing up. They are auditioning for the job. So during that training window, we're going to do a whole bunch of things. But the first day is unlike any other day. So they show up, and the very first thing that we're going to do the first day is we're going to go through the documents that we have given them. And the documents are going to be an offer letter. Now, we've already offered them a job. And because we offered them a job, they accepted the job. And now that they accepted the job, we have to give them an official document that says, we are offering you this job. This is the pay. This is the training structure. This is what you can expect. This is what is expected from you. This is an at-will agreement that at any time in the first 90 days you can cancel for whatever reason, and you can leave and no harm, no foul. You do not need to give me a 2 weeks notice. And if for any reason during the first 90 days I want to fire you, I can fire you for no reason. Okay. So they're signing a contract. That is explained in the job offer. Also, what you're going to cover on day one is you're also going to cover all of the other documents. You want to make sure that you have a copy of their driver's license, that you have their I-9 form if they are not a U.S. citizen. I don't mean an I-9. The I-9 is if they're an independent contractor. The driver's license, you're going to have a green card if they're not a U.S. citizen. You're going to make sure that you have all of the documentation that you need. A W-2, if they're a W-2 employee, they're going to be filling out a form called a W-4. If they're an independent contractor, they're not going through this onboarding process. But the same day, which is the first day after you have a conversation with an independent contractor, you would go through a similar procedure. But instead of filling out a W-4, which is for the W-2 pay, they would fill out an I-9 for the 1099 independent contractor form. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. So the next thing that they're going to cover is going to be a job description. So you're going to be very specific about what their job is. Now, during the interview, we talked about on a job interview, this is the job you're going to be doing. You're going to be going from house to house, and you're going to be doing maintenance cleanings, which is everything that's on this checklist. Is there anything that would prevent you from kneeling on your knees and, scrubbing behind a toilet? You're going to ask questions like that so that they can say, yes, I'm up for the job. All right. You're going to go over again the job description. And I can't tell you how many times on the first day people are like, oh, wait a minute, I got to get on my hands and knees and I got to clean behind a toilet. Yeah, we clean 12 or 15 toilets a day. Okay. So everybody has to do that. It's not optional. You don't get to opt out of just that part of it or anything. It's part of the job description. On the days that there's a cancellation, you determined the day before, or if you had your job interview on a Thursday and now it's Monday, whenever you had the job interview, you determined if that person had any extra skills. These are skills that can be used like social media or bookkeeping or accounting or before and after pictures or collages or other things like that, admin tasks that are needing to be done in the business. And so you're going to have that in their job description. If you determine that this person is going to be doing inventory for you during cancellation times, or they're going to be reordering supplies, whatever those side jobs are that are going to coincide with that, that will be part of their job description. And you want to add that in there so it goes in their employee file. Okay. And so in the event that there's a cancellation and you do not have a job for them, they're going to work on site. Usually it's going to be from your house. You're going to have a computer table set up and they'll be working from the computer, or they'll be working in your chemical room where you have all your chemicals and supplies. They might be cleaning vacuums. They might be filling up supplies. They might be washing linens and folding linens. They might be stocking and restocking supplies that go inside cleaning caddies. It really depends on the scope of your business. Okay. But you want to make sure that that is inside the job description. The next thing is they have an employee handbook. And we have a whole entire course on the employee handbook that if you haven't gone through that, I believe it's course number 5 in the Savvy Cleaner training. I recommend that you go through that really thoroughly. And the reason being, it will set all of the rules and regulations for your business. And so you want to go over those verbally with the employee on day one. And so they'll say, "Oh, I've already read it." And if you're really savvy, you will have sent it to them in advance and they can read it and sign off on it. But you'll want to verbally go through it with them. It says you need to be to work at a specific time. You need to leave at a specific time. You need to show up on these specific days. Here's what we do cover as far as benefits for employees. Here's what we do not cover. Here's what's expected of you. Here is our company culture. Here, all the things, right? Whether you work on the weekends, whether you work after hours, is there overtime pay? When do you get paid? All of that stuff is covered in the employee handbook. So you want to make sure you go over all of those rules and regulations and let them ask questions so that they understand the scope of the work. Because a lot of times new cleaning business owners make this mistake. They say, show up and we'll start tomorrow. And then the next day, the cleaning business owner is disorganized. There's no paperwork to fill out. The new employee is like, is this a real job? And if they're not sure it's a real job, they don't treat it like a real job. And so if it's not a real job, it's hard to write somebody up like 6 weeks down the road and say, hey, you've been late every day for 6 weeks. Well, the rules were never specified. You never told me I was going to get written up if I'm late every day for 6 weeks. Now suddenly I'm getting written up and I didn't know that was a thing, right? So you can't start making up rules halfway down the road when stuff starts really ticking you off and you get irked. You have to specify that from day one. So the very first day, what you're going to do is just really think of this as it's a get to know you day. And as you go over all the rules and all the procedures of your business, there's a bunch of stuff that's going to come up. And just be really transparent about how you run your business. And let the employee ask as many questions as they possibly can. This is a really good chance for you to make mistakes. And I say make mistakes because you will make mistakes. You will make hiring mistakes. And so as you make mistakes, then you'll say to yourself, oh, I didn't explain this the last time, so let me explain it this time, right? So every time you do this with a new employee, you're going to get better and better and better at it. We also talked last time about doing group interviews. And this is awesome because if you do a group interview, you can also do a group day one, where this is an onboarding process on day one, where you bring everybody in and you say, everybody, we're going to fill out the paperwork. When you go over the employee handbook, you're telling it to 5 people or 6 people instead of 1 person. And the truth is, a lot of people will fall out. A lot of people take jobs and they try it for a couple of days and it's not for them and then they quit. So you don't want to spend all this time and all this energy on one person and then you got to do it again next week to somebody else because this person didn't stay. If you do it to a group of people and you got 5 or 6 people going through the training at a time, what happens is maybe only 2 people of the 6 people stay. But now you have 2 people that you've trained simultaneously and you can cross-train them on the same job. And that way, if one of them falls out, you have a replacement. Or if they both work out, yay, now you have 2 people that can cover for each other. And so we talked about swapping shifts. This is going to happen in every business. Stuff's going to come up. Birthdays, anniversaries, family emergencies, kids getting sick at school, cleaners getting sick. Somebody can't show up for whatever reason. It happens all the time in cleaning businesses. And if there is nobody to cover those shifts and you've worked your schedule really tight where you've booked a lot of houses, now you're calling customers saying, we don't have anybody to come clean for you today. And that doesn't look well for your business. So you always want to be hiring and you want to hire in groups and you want to cross-train. And so this day one becomes a really important day because you can train a lot of people simultaneously. And what's also interesting in this group process, somebody will ask a question and the other people may have had the same question, but they were too scared to ask. So now they're getting their questions answered and they're learning from other people. And when one person asks a question, it kind of gives everybody else permission to also ask questions. And it might trigger something that you forgot to tell the last training group. So now you're going to go, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you something. Now you'll tell them something about the business. So this onboarding day is just a really important day. And again, it's only 4 hours. Okay. So we're not going to go all day long. It's not an all day training session. It's not 2 weeks of intense training. It's the same schedule, 4 hours, 4 days a week. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to get them in the habit of coming to a new job. Because whatever they did yesterday, they were not in the habit of coming to a new job. So they're trying to rearrange their schedule and trying to find a babysitter and try to get up early in the morning, and they're trying to readjust their life. So this is the day that we start the process. Okay. We're going to start creating the new norm for them and setting the expectations. All right. So the next thing that we're going to cover on day one is we're going to cover the payroll and the admin setup. And we already talked about filling out the W-4s and the I-9s, which is going to be the W-2 pay for employees and also the 1099s if it's an independent contractor. What I do recommend, and we've talked about this before, but I want to bring it up again. If you're keeping records, this is the time, if you haven't already, this is the time that you want to sign up with QuickBooks. And I don't make any money from telling you about QuickBooks, but QuickBooks is a brilliant program. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you learn the learning curve, you can't unlearn it. And you'll be using it for all of your bookkeeping from now through the rest of forever. And we talked before about when you measure things, you can track the progress. And so what we're talking about with QuickBooks is measuring the money that you earn. And so when I say we're using QuickBooks, one of the reasons we want to use QuickBooks is because there is a payroll add-on. And the payroll add-on is just a plugin that goes along with the software that you're already paying for. And it's a little bit expensive. It's going to be like $45 per month. $45 per month will save you from hiring a payroll company, I don't know, $400 a week or for every payroll or pay processing. And so this allows you then to do payroll like every week. And all you do is at the end of every week, once you've set up the employees, you jump in and you just add in the hours that they've worked, and it automatically takes out their FICA and their FUTA and their Social Security and all of the payroll withholding taxes that have to be paid. And it takes it right out of your bank account and sends it to the IRS. And it creates a pay stub that has all of the withholdings right there for the employee. So it's very professional, and it replaces an entire payroll company. So it's $45 a month, but it will save you a bunch of money in the end. Now, it's the same price, whether you have a few employees or you have a lot of employees. So again, it's going to save you a whole bunch of time where a lot of payroll companies will charge per employee. Now, where they charge you is on the direct deposit. I think it's $5 per month for direct deposit. And it's whether you pay once or whether you pay twice a month or whether you pay 4 times a month. And so for my company, and what I recommend you do is you pay all of your employees once a week. And by paying once a week, what happens is this. The employees get in the habit of getting money every single week. If you pay them at the end of every day, they may or may not show up tomorrow. Well, I got paid today. I have money today. I'm good for today. But if they have to go a couple of days without money, they're like, I don't get paid until Monday. It goes into my account on Tuesday. I got to show up for work. And then by Tuesday, they're already into the next week. If they work for the whole entire next week, then they get paid again the following week. If you go for an entire 2 weeks, that's actually too long for a lot of people in the house cleaning business. And because they see us getting paid every day, they also want to get paid every day. I want to stop right here, and I want to warn you of a couple of things. This is an expectation we need to set up from day one. We are not a bank, and we are not a loan processing company. Okay. We cannot give business loans. We cannot do advanced cash for upcoming pay. So if your employees come to you and say, hey, I really need some money. It's Friday. I know I don't get paid until Monday. Can you advance me the money? I'm not a bank. And you got to tell them that from day one. I cannot loan you money in advance. I cannot loan you money on the side. We don't go chasing after bills. We're not bill collectors, right? And so they see us getting money every day from clients. And so they say, well, if you're getting paid every day, I should be getting paid every day. That's not how it works. We get paid every day, and that's fine. We might as well get paid once a month from the client. And in a perfect world, we would. It would be on auto draft. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to set the expectations, because this happens all the time. House cleaning is a low barrier entry job, meaning people can just get started in the cleaning business today. And if they're running their own cleaning business, they get paid today. The difference is when they work for you, they don't get paid until the end of the week. So you want to make sure that you explain the payroll processes, when you get paid, how you get paid. Do you get a check? Do you get Venmo? Do you get Cash App? I don't recommend any of those. I recommend direct deposit. And direct deposit for this reason, it's hands off. If I'm writing you a check, it's easy to say, "Hey, Angela, can you just, give me an extra 20 bucks? I'll pay you back next week." It's easy for me to just write in an extra 20 bucks on a check. If it's direct deposit, it goes through the payroll system. So that doesn't happen. Okay. We got to be very clear and very structured about the way we make our pay and no accommodations because it's easy for somebody that's just getting started in the cleaning business to come in and say, "Hey, I ran out of gas this week. I can't make it to work. Can you give me some extra money?" No, I cannot. This is earned money. It comes out of the pay. We do payroll on Monday morning. It goes into your account direct deposit on Tuesday. The direct deposit, I believe, is $5 per person per month. So the more employees you have, there you go. But it's still so much cheaper than hiring a payroll company. So I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend using QuickBooks. Okay, cool. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Do we have any questions on payroll and direct deposit or that onboarding situation? Go ahead and throw those in the comments. One other thing that I want to talk about, and this is up here on our payroll and admin setup, is getting an emergency contact. We have the contact information for the employee, and that is a given for every employee because part of what we do when we hire somebody is we get their contact information, their name, their address, their phone number, all the ways to contact them. But it's also important to know an emergency contact for them in the event that they, I don't know, have a heart attack on the job, or if they don't show up, or if they have gone missing, or they don't show up for 3 days, if, something happens, it's important to have that emergency contact in place. It's also important for you to give them your emergency contact information. And we're going to get emergency contact information from all of our customers and clients. But it's important to have that on file and in the employee file from day one. Okay. So that's the very first part of the day one. The next thing we're going to cover on day one is we're going to cover the tools and system setup. This is where you give them their uniforms. So on the interview, you had them fill out a sizing chart. And the sizing chart is going to be something like small, medium, or large for t-shirts, and then the pant size that they're going to wear. And so if you have these in stock, great. If you don't have these and you're not able to get these by day one, then that they go on order, and you might have, and this is very typical for a lot of cleaning businesses, where what they say is you can wear like blue jeans until your khaki pants come in, or your cargo pants come in, and you can just wear like black shoes and this color of shirt. So maybe for the first couple of days, because they're in training and there aren't uniforms to be worn yet, during this process, you might be ordering them. And there are a lot of companies online. I will leave links in the replay notes on where we get uniforms. And so you can buy them online. You can buy them from Amazon. You can buy them from Aramark. You can buy them from Dickies. There are a bunch of different places that we use that have really, really good, comfortable, professional looking uniforms. And usually what that includes is 2 pairs of pants, 4 shirts, 2 hats, and 2 aprons. And the hats are optional. But a lot of people like to wear ball hats, especially if they're trying to pull their hair back. Lots of wisps get in people's eyes, and then they brush their hair out. And we don't want people touching their faces and their hair during the day. We don't want hair falling out at the customer's house. So like if I'm wearing a ball hat, for example, and my hair's pretty long, it comes down to about right here, I'll pull it. I'll put a hat on and I pull it in a ponytail in the back of my hat, and then I put a clip on it so that it doesn't go anywhere while I'm wearing a hat. If I'm not wearing a hat, my hair is just like this. It's in a bun, pulled back, slicked back, sprayed to my hair so that I don't lose any hair at the customer's house. So we're going to talk about dress code and uniforms on day one. And we're going to set the expectation of how we expect our employees to dress on the job. The next thing we're going to talk about are software and apps. This is really important because do you remember how I said that if we have a cancellation, that the employee is going to come back to home base and they're going to be working on the company computer? They need to have a company computer that they can work from, and they need to have access to the different programs that we use. Now, at Savvy Cleaner, and I recommend this for all the different companies that do this, I recommend that you use a company computer, not a personal computer, and not their own personal logins. because whatever they create on their own personal logins, they own. But if it's on your company computer and you're tracking that and it's your software, it's your proprietary stuff and your licenses, you own that. Even if it's social media that they are creating for your business, you own that. And that needs to be explained. So, for example, at Savvy Cleaner, we have a media hub, and it's a bunch of literally, you can buy them at Costco. They're folding tables, and they're like a heavy duty plastic resin, and they are like 4 feet by 2 feet. And each one has a computer, each one has a chair. And those computers are all licensed to Savvy Cleaner. They all have particular software. So different, you don't need all the software on all the computers, but one might have Canva and PicMonkey, and it might be designed, graphic design. Anything that you're using that you have to pay a license for might be on that graphic design computer. Another one might be for video editing. So if your company does a lot of video editing for social media, it might have things like Pictory or Video YI or Adobe Premiere or Audition or whatever the other ones are that require software. So you don't have to pay for all the software on all the computers, but you might have a media hub where you have a graphic design computer, a social media computer, and the social media computer might be like Hootsuite or Social Pilot or however you schedule social media posts. And so somebody might be specializing in social media. Somebody else might be specializing in graphic design. Someone else might specialize in video editing or videography or something. And so with this media hub, your employees can check email. They can do whatever they want. And all of them might have like a Google workspace on them. And they all might have, what do you call it? The ability to do like a Zoom call. Now, in the event that the employee takes that computer off site, what you're going to have them do on day one is they're going to fill out a loan application. And that loan application is, I'm borrowing this computer from this company. And I don't let anybody take a computer in the first 90 days. But after the first 90 days, if they're working on special projects and they've advanced in the company and we've built a relationship of trust, and they've already filled out that form 90 days ago. But what happens is then I say, if you want to work from home this weekend or you're ready for extra projects or whatever, you're welcome to take this computer home. They've already filled out that form. Okay. So it's a loan saying I'm loaning this computer to this employee. And what it says is if they take it off the site, if for any reason they drop it, they bang it up, they bust it, whatever, they have to replace it. Okay. So that's on them. If they use it for work purposes and they break it, they're responsible for it. But that computer comes with a backpack. It comes with a computer. It comes with a camera in case they have to do Zoom from home. It comes with a mouse. It comes with a mouse pad. What else? It comes with a set of headphones in case they need to be in a quiet room and they need to be doing like a Zoom call, for example. Maybe they're doing customer service. Maybe they're doing booking and scheduling, who knows what. But the day will come when you will have employees that for whatever reason, they have to leave the cleaning business and they have become excellent at customer service. You might segue them into only a customer service person, right? So this is a chance in the first 90 days for them to kind of prove their worth by learning the business and learning the company culture and learning how everything operates as a cleaner. And then in the event that they have to create social media, now they know what the company culture is and they know the brand and they know what they're representing. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. We have one comment here. The comment is from Maria. She says, how to make the jump from solo to team when you're still building a client list. The process is going to be slow, but what I recommend is if you're only hiring 4 days a week, if you're hiring somebody for 4 days a week, what you're doing is if you're working solo, and this is a great question, you're going to be working, let's say 2 houses per day. So as you hire one person will come with you in the morning and they will do the training with you. And if you have 2 people or 5 people or 6 people, you contact the customer and you say, I'm doing a training. Can we use your home as a training situation? I will be explaining everything. We've got a whole team of people that we're going to be training. Can they come? And you clear that with your customers first. And if the customer's like, no, that's too weird or whatever, maybe you rotate the days. Okay. But you can bring everybody you want and have everybody there on staff. And I've done this where I've trained 4 or 5 people at a time. And so if you're uncomfortable with that, you can also do that inside your own home and then clean your own home and do the training there. So that's also an option. You can also, if the customers are uncomfortable, you can pick one of your employees' homes and you can go use that as the training ground and you can clean their home. Okay. So there are different ways to do it. Don't let that stop you. But what you're going to do then is you're going to spend 16 hours a week and you're going to spend 4 days, 4 hours, and just clean one house and train that person while shadowing them. And so what happens is you haven't lost anything, you haven't picked up any new accounts, you haven't done nothing different other than you brought somebody with you. And as you're explaining that process, they're like, "Oh, I get it now." Okay, well, they're going to go through training for a couple of weeks. And during that couple of week process, you can go out and pick up a couple of new accounts. How many accounts do you need? Well, right now, you still need the 2 houses that you're cleaning per day, right? So you're still gonna be cleaning those. Once you have a person that's comfortable enough cleaning solo, you can step back and you can then pick up a new account for yourself and let that person clean solo. But you're not gonna send them solo for a couple of weeks. So for a couple of weeks anyway, it's gonna be exactly the same process as right now. If you find yourself in a situation where you have more business that you've picked up than you can possibly handle, that's where you fill in with independent contractors. And that way you have all of the shifts covered until you get people up to speed and up and running. Okay. So it's a very easy, seamless process with very little margin for error. And I say that because you haven't lost any customers, you haven't overpromised anything. All that happens is now you have a new person and you're guaranteeing them new work. And so as soon as you guarantee them new work, then what happens if they're ready to go out? Then you pick up one of the houses on your wait list and you say, "Hey, I can now do more work." And you want to probably give them an existing house that you already know the customer pretty well, and you'll want to take on the new account. And then as they get familiar with it, you'll bring them over and have them shadow you on that house as well. You can segue them over to the new house. So there are various ways to do that. And did that answer your question? I hope it did. Um, all right. So the tools and system, this is still the same day. Okay. This is the within 24 hours after you hire somebody. The next thing that you're going to talk about is not just the software and the apps, but how do they log on? How do they log on? What are their passwords? And what are the apps that you use? Do you use like ZenMaid or Brilliant or House Call Pro or Service Autopilot? Or what are the programs that you use? And you're going to sit down on a computer with them and you're going to walk them through. This is how you log on. This is your password. And you're going to get them set up so that they can um, log on and that they have an account and that they know how to check in for work, and the GPS system is going to follow them around, and when they get to a house they're going to clock in with their phone and it all connects and all the things, right? Along with that, and this is not on day 1, but it's part of the process. um, One of the things that we're going to cover is keeper security. It's a password vault. And during the process of you hiring somebody, like let's say I did an interview yesterday and I say you start work tomorrow, I'm going to race home tonight and I'm going to set up the computer. I'm going to set up a Google account for them. I'm going to set up a keeper security account for them. And here's the reason why: they need to be able to log in. Do you remember how I said when they go on Google Calendar and they take shifts off the calendar? Okay, I want it to be a company account. So this is a Google account for your company. So for example, my company is Savvy Cleaner. So Maria, if you came to work for my company, it would be maria@savvycleaner.com. And that would be your Google account. We would create you a Google account through Google Workspace. And I say Google Workspace, which is a paid version where it allows everybody to be online, and it's a locked in program where everybody can share the system. There are free ways to do it. You could just set up an account if you don't want to use Google Workspace, but the Google Workspace allows you to create shared documents that other people don't have access to with just a regular Google account. Okay, so company program. There are free versions of it. And so with Google, like the calendar is free. Anybody with the email can have access to that. Anybody with an email account can have access to a shared Google Drive. But if you have a shared Google Drive and you're with Google Workspace, it gives you more benefits and more features. So as your business grows and your business expands, that might be something that you look into. But I'm going to create a Google account. I'm going to create you an email. I'm going to create you a Keeper Security. Keeper Security is paid. It's a paid password vault and you pay per user. And I recommend this for this reason. If you have people and they come to your business and they log onto your computers and they're using your workspace and they're using your software as teams, like you're going to set up team licenses for all the different computers that you're using. If for any reason somebody doesn't work out and you have to let them go, you lock the password and they don't have access to anything else. If for some reason they're using their own personal account, their own Google account, whatever, they can still log into everything. They still have a password to log into everything. So you do not want that. You do not want them to still be logged in to your company calendar and your company portals and all that stuff. And you would have to go through and erase them from all the different shared Google Drives, Google Calendar, Google everything that you've put together. Unless it's the business account like I recommended, then you just lock it and they don't have access to anything. Okay. And there are times we've had employees that we've let go for whatever reason. And when we let them go, the first move is we just lock the password vault, we lock the Google account, and then it locks them out of all of the documents that they have created during their time with us. They don't own that equipment. We do. All of the property, and this is what we're going to cover on day one, all of the intellectual property, everything that they created during those cancellation days while they worked for our company, that's proprietary information that belongs to us. If they took before and after pictures at customers' houses while they were cleaning, that belongs to us. Okay. They did that while they were employed at our business. If they go out on their own and they want to use those same pictures, that needs to be clarified. And so right up front from day one, you asked them the question, are you an employee? Are you on the fast track to become an independent contractor so that you can go out and start your own business? And if they are an independent contractor, like today I'm an employee, I'm going to learn as much as I can, then I'm going to go start my own business. What you're going to do then is you're going to have a shared Google Drive. And all of those pictures will go in that shared Google Drive. And then they will have access to them with your permission that they can use those to promote their own business once they leave. And they will say, while I was at this business, these are houses I cleaned and these are the before and after pictures. Okay. So they'll still be giving credit to your business because they were employed as an employee there, but now they're out on their own. And if they're just an employee, all of that is yours. Okay. So you're going to have them sign waivers. You're also going to have them sign a waiver on day one that says all of the photos that you take on the job. Like, let's say I take a photo of you, Maria. What happens is we own that photo. And the reason I say that is because we may want to use that in our social media. So let's say that you got a certification and we want to say, yay, Maria, check it out. She got certified for chemical safety. We want to be able to post that on our social media so that all of our clients and friends can cheer. But if Maria has not filled out a waiver for the photos, we can't use that. So on day one, we're going to make sure that everything is above board. And that's the other note that we have here on social media. The last thing you see here says social media, a waiver for photos. That says you are giving us permission to use photos of you on the job while you're on the job to promote our company. Another thing that we want to talk about on social media, and this is setting expectations right up front. Excuse me. Setting expectations is that while you are cleaning houses, you're not checking social media. You're not doing social media while you're cleaning houses. You're not on your phone. You're not screwing around. That is not the time to be doing that. Okay. And there's a lot of temptation, but because now there are so many people that have house cameras, they're watching the cleaners and the cleaners are sitting there on their phone for 2 hours and then they leave the customer's house. And the customer, I can't tell you how many customers have sent footage and said, hey, check out this house cleaner. And what do I do now? And I'm like, call the company and get a refund for your money because that house cleaner literally did nothing while they were there except screw around on their phone the whole time they were there. Literally. I don't know, they sprayed Febreze or something and made your house smell nice, but they did nothing. And I mean, the homeowners have the footage. They're watching you, right? So we wanna make sure that we clarify right up front. You can't do that on this job. This is not a job where you show up with the 3-inch fingernails and you just kinda like, move dust around the house with a little Swiffer duster and call it a day. There's actual cleaning. And so if you're not up for that, within the first 90 days, you're out of here, right? By creating really clear expectations, you will get cleaners that really understand that, oh, this is a real job. Now, when we are kids, and I want to stop for just a second, when we are kids, there's a very strict structure from the day we're born. Our parents feed us at a certain time. They put us down for naps at a certain time. They put us in bed at a certain time. There's bath time. There's story time. Everything is very strict. Then when we go to school, there's a very strict time. They get us up in the morning. They feed us breakfast. We go get on the school bus. We go to school, da 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 da, all the way through. We get off at the bus at a certain time. We're home. We have playtime. We have homework time. We have dinner time. We have story time, bath time, and bedtime. And then as we become teenagers, there's another really strict schedule. Now we're in soccer and piano and dance and whatever, and we've got all these different things in school, and we have to get up and go here and here and here and here and here, and it's a very rigid schedule. And then you have folks that graduate from school and now they're on their own and they come to work. And if you are not strict and you don't have structure as a cleaning business owner, what happens is everything falls apart. Nobody's making them get up at a certain time. Nobody's making them show up for their job at a certain time. If you don't write them up and they don't know they're going to get written up, they will show up whatever time they want. And one of the biggest reasons house cleaners get fired is because they just show up randomly whenever they want. And homeowners can't plan for that. And this should not come as a surprise, but everybody else works on a schedule. Like doctor's appointments run on schedules, schools run on schedules. You got to go through the carpool daycare or a carpool line at the school on a schedule. Like everything else in the world works on a schedule. And so if you're just randomly showing up whenever and you're like, well, I'm just cleaning the house isn't going anywhere. The house may not be going anywhere, but it's possible that the people wanted to come home and they wanted to take naps, or they're working a late shift and they need to be sleeping during a particular window of time. Oops, you showed up early, or you showed up late, or they were going to go out of town and they were going to lock the door right before you left and make sure that no one else was in the house. And then you're still there. It's weird. Okay. So you have to learn to stay on a schedule, but these are the days that we create that specificity. Okay. Any questions on day one? Because we're moving on. All right. We're going to talk about the values and culture of the business. This is really important. And this is not on day one, but this is going to come in the next couple of days of training. And the reason that we want to create the company values and culture is because the person that we're hiring is going to be a brand representative of our business. And so even though they don't know us right now, we're going to send them out into the marketplace and we're going to say, hey, go represent my company. And so I've spent all this time and money building my business. And what I want you to do, new person that I'm hiring, is I want you to go out there and be just like me. That's what we're asking them to do. They don't know us. They don't know our company culture. And so we have to be really clear and very specific about what it is we're training them. And I would spend an entire day working on the company culture. Here's who we are. Here's what we believe. Here is what we believe. Okay. And I want to go over a couple of things with you real quick because this is what we're going to cover. This might be day 2 or day 3, but this is what we're going to cover when we say we're talking about our company brand and our values. The first thing that we're going to talk about, we're going to have it segmented so that it's easy to understand. But the first thing we're going to talk about is professionalism. And so we want them to represent us in a professional manner. And so we're going to say, always arrive on time in your uniform and be prepared with your necessary supplies. And we already talked about the uniform on day 1 and the importance of wearing the uniform. And the reason that we wear the uniform is to blend in and be consistent, because we've already determined And this is by years of experience. But the psychology behind it is when you have a house cleaner that shows up every single time in a clean car with clean, fully stocked cleaning supplies, they arrive at the door and they've got great posture and a smile on their face, and they're in a uniform. What that tells the homeowner is, oh, I expect the same kind of cleaning every single time. The exact process happened every single time. And what happens is all the neighbors that are watching, because the neighbors do watch, but as all the neighbors are watching, they're like, wow, that house cleaning company is really consistent. And that's what we're trying to promote is consistency, affordability, fairness, all the things. Because we want to get as many referrals as possible. And if it's different every single time we show up, people can't recommend you. And we talk about where do you get clients from? You get clients from referrals. That's the best marketing that you will ever do. But you have to create a consistent company culture. All right, you have to maintain a well-groomed appearance every single time. And what that means is, and if you go to Savvy Cleaner up there at the top, we have a dress code, and you can download the dress code. But the dress code is it's a polo shirt, just like the one that I'm wearing. It's going to be the khaki pants or the navy blue pants with the cargo pockets in them. It's going to be black shoes or gray shoes, and it's going to be clean fingernails, clean arms, clean ears, neck, eyes. Everything has to be showered. Your hair has to be pulled back. If you're a guy and you have long hair, it's got to be back in a ponytail or a man bun. I mean, very, very, very specific because we're trying to create that consistency. Part of our presentation is we want to be polite and courteous, and we want to be respectful of both our coworkers and our clients. And so if we show up to a customer's house and they just got in a fight, that's on them. It's not on us. It's not personal. And so when we show up and they're all like, "Rah," we don't argue back. And I can't tell you how many house cleaners have gotten fired over the years from their clients because they got involved in family feuds. Don't take sides. Don't get involved in fights. If a customer yells at you and it's not your fault, like you didn't do anything, don't bounce back and say, "Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not. I didn't do this or I didn't do that or whatever." Do not engage. Okay, just say, "Hey, there seems to be a problem here. I'm gonna step away. I'm gonna call my manager, and you guys can work it out." Right? Maintain professionalism. Be courteous. Be polite, and keep the customer in mind because you're representing the company. So you want to cover that on during this company culture session. You also want to talk about a positive attitude. When we go to customers' houses, it's really easy for customers to say, "Oh, my aching back. I've just, I haven't slept in weeks." And it's easy to put you in touch with your own pain. Saying, "Oh man, I've been on my hands and knees cleaning behind toilets and my back hurts and I haven't slept in weeks." And it's not a contest. Okay. When a customer starts yippity yapping, we have to end that conversation very quickly because when we're talking, we're not working. And so we have to be very specific about we maintain a positive attitude. Say, "Hey, I'm going to keep you in my thoughts and prayers, and I hope you feel better soon." Then get back to work, right? We want to be very polite, quick, and courteous. All right. The other thing is we want to avoid personal phone use and distractions while we're on the job. And I say distractions as in do not have your spouse be bringing lunch to you on the job. Do not let your kids drop by and visit you while you're on the job. Do not bring relatives with you on the job that are unauthorized and not insured to be on the job. Don't be using your smartphones, making personal calls and rearranging your personal schedule and all those things. Okay. If you are on the phone on a job, it's because there is an emergency and there should be some kind of an emergency code on your phone where somebody calls you and says, excuse me, "This is an emergency. You, you know, drop what you're doing." Excuse me. But no smartphone use on the job. All right. Excuse me. The other thing that we want to cover when we're talking about our company culture is also professionalism and confidentiality. It's really easy when you are on on a job at a customer's house and they have given you a referral of a neighbor, it's really easy for you to go, "Oh, yeah, I know. Can you believe what Bob said? I mean, like, just the other day, and you get involved in the neighbor gossip. Don't do that. The key that we wanna cover, and we have to do this from the very beginning, is we have to set a precedent that if we get a referral from somebody or 2 neighbors know each other or you have a common interest or a common something with a neighbor or a client, that you don't go into details. So, like, if, let's say, Jean, the neighbor, gives me a referral of Bob, I have to say, "Thank you, Jean, so much for the referral of Bob. I'm gonna call Bob, I'm hopefully we can do business together, but out of respect to Bob and out of respect to you, from now on, I will never mention Bob's name to you again. So thank you so much for the referral, and if he signs up with our company, I would love to give you a little gift to say thank you." And then when Bob hires you, you say, "Hey, Bob, thank you so much for, you know, as a referral from Jean. And I know we both know Jean, but out of respect to you and out of respect to Jean, from here on out, I'm never going to talk about Jean again. I don't want to slip up and say personal stuff about her house, and I don't want to slip up to her and say stuff about your house. So out of courtesy to both of you, I'm never going to talk to either one of you about the other one again. You can talk about me behind my back, but I'm not going to talk about either one of you. So please don't bring her up to me again." And the customer's like, "Oh, wow, that's cool. Thank you." They will talk about you. I promise you that. But if you just have zipped lips and that's part of your company culture, that needs to be part of your training, and you need to train all of your employees to do that. So as we go into training, this is a really important thing that we're gonna cover. All right. We also want to talk about client interactions. This is a really important thing, and we've talked about it before. We've touched on it, but I want to cover it right now. And it needs to be very clear that we have a 60-second window from the time that we get to a customer's house that we say, "Hi, how you doing? How's the kids' soccer game? How's Gizmo the dog?" Whatever. And then you get on to work. Because if the customer is chitty chatting at you or you are chitty chatting at them, time is being wasted. And as a cleaning business owner, time is money. It is our most valuable resource, and we have to protect it with fiercity. And so no chitty chatting. So we just want to be really specific, but we want to introduce the 60-second rule to our clients and to our employees. And we want everybody to be on the same page. And if an employee has already been trained, when they go to a new house, they're going to automatically use that 60-second rule. When a customer has a request, and they will, we have to listen attentively. And whether we agree to it or not is irrelevant. What is important is that we listen and say, "I heard you." And we need to teach our employees how to say, "I heard you." If it can be accommodated, great. If it cannot be accommodated, they need to call the office and make arrangements. But there needs to be a standard. So, for example, a customer says, "Can you clean my oven today?" And you say, "We do have a special package that includes oven cleaning, and it's a 5 appliance package." And we would teach our employees about that 5 appliance package and how to share with the customer that we have that. And then say, "I would like to have you call the office, and here's the number for the office. You can call the office and add that onto your schedule, and they will also give you a price for that." And so you're teaching your new employees that we don't just randomly take on extra things, okay? And we don't just randomly say yes. And so we have to train them, what is our procedure, because every company is a little bit different. We want to train them on our procedures. Um, if there are any special things that need to be confirmed, like, for example, you must leave the dog outside when you close up for the day or whatever. Okay, great. Confirm that. And if you're unsure and this sounds like a weird request and it's not on my work order or whatever, call the office. Okay. So if there's something weird that the customer is asking for and it's unusual and it's not on the work order, if that's a standard, that would be on the work order for every week. When you leave, make sure the dog is outside or whatever the request is. That's going to be on the work order for the day. So if it's not on the work order, they need to call the office and confirm it with the boss. They need to confirm it with the client, or the office needs to confirm with the client. Okay. So either way, everybody's on the same page and there are no surprises. All right. If there is a problem, and there will be, there needs to be a way for the new employee to communicate back to you as the boss. And do you want them complaining every day? In the beginning, during this first 90-day window, they don't know you. Okay. And we want them to open up as much as possible. And we want them to share with us their concerns and their questions and get everything answered. But we want to set them up with an alignment session from day one. And this is where, as the boss, you have a 15-minute window every single week where you sit down with your employee and you're going to go over anything during the week that happened that they have questions or qualms about. And then if there are any suggestions that they want to make, if they have any ways they want to change things, that's when they're going to bring this up. So they need to know when that alignment session takes place. All right. You also want to talk to them during this company culture session about time management. One of the biggest issues we have as house cleaners is hiring people and then they're very slow. And we say, "Wow, they're taking twice as long as it's supposed to take for this job." Okay, we have to explain that time management is really important. And because it's so important, we have to show up on time and we end on time. And literally we're racing through our jobs, working as efficiently and as effectively as possible so we don't get callbacks, but that we're finishing on time. Because if we have two houses, we got to get to the next house on time because that's part of our business brand, right? So we have to start on time, we have to stop on time, and that means no freebies. We allow one mulligan per job, and the mulligan is something that is a little extra, not on the checklist. It's a little something extra that's usually a 1 or a 2-minute job. It's a little something extra that we add in, and we try to save like 5 minutes at the end, where while we're cleaning and we had to skip something, and it will kill you to skip stuff. But as you skip something, make a note of it and say, "Oh, I wished I could have cleaned this one extra thing." Maybe you go back and you clean that one extra thing. It might be cleaning out the dog bowl, for example. The dog bowl is not part of the job, but it might be something that you saw it was really murky or whatever. It had, I don't know, toys in it or whatever, and you just decided you were going to do something nice. It's that little something extra nice that says, "I care." But not freebies, okay? Not like a free oven cleaning or a free fridge cleaning or any of those things, because time is money. So you want to do a little something extra, but within reason, and one per house, okay? So we'll explain that process. We also want to talk about breaks. There are breaks by the labor standard laws that you have to follow. And so if an employee works over 4 hours, there has to be a break. If they work up to 6 hours, there has to be a lunch break of 30 minutes. That can be unpaid, but you have to give them a 30-minute lunch break if they are working for 6 hours. And so if they're only working for 4 hours, at the end of the 4 hours, then they go take their break and they take their lunch and whatever. There are reasons we do this way. Okay. But you have to explain the breaks and you have to explain smoking. Is smoking allowed at your company? And if it is allowed, when is it allowed? When are those smoking breaks allowed? How long are the smoking breaks allowed? Right? If you don't specify, house cleaners have taken 30-minute smoking breaks. So you have to be very specific about what that looks like in your company. And you have to manage the breaks responsibly so that they don't interfere with the jobs and so that it improves the job completion. That has to be covered. All right. We also want to talk about handling company property and the client's property and what happens with breakages. Because as they start cleaning, they've never cleaned before. They don't know how fast they're supposed to clean. And if they speed up, what if they bump into something and it breaks? How do you handle broken items? What happens when an item breaks? We also have to talk about client privacy. We don't open any closed doors. So, and I say any closed doors. We don't open drawers. We don't open dressers. We don't open cabinets. We don't open closets. We don't any of those things. If a door is closed, we don't open it, with the exception of if it's an Airbnb. And then we open all the drawers and all the closets and under all the cabinets because we want to make sure that the guests that have left did not leave anything behind. Right. So they have to understand the differences, which is for the first 90 days, they're not going to be doing any B&B training. They're not going to be doing any deep cleaning training. They're not going to be doing any special project training. They're not going to be doing any mommy's helper training. They're going to be working specifically on maintenance cleaning packages. Once they learn and they master the maintenance cleaning after the end of 90 days, then we can advance them to new training. Okay. So the company culture is really important. And we want to spend literally a whole day going through all of the things that I just mentioned. And so if we skip this step, lots of bad things happen. It's just people don't understand how they're supposed to behave. And so we want to set the ground rules from right up front. Again, it's structure, it's ground rules, it's expectations. Do you have any questions on that before we move on? All right. This is awesome. Okay, let's move on. So the cleaning process itself. What we're gonna do is there comes a day, okay, we're ready to train now. We're gonna get our employees. We are going to have them be in uniform, and there's gonna be a makeshift uniform if their uniforms haven't come in yet. In North Carolina, this is panther blue. They would wear a panther blue shirt. They would wear a pair of jeans. They'd wear gray or black shoes if they have them. If not, come as close as you can. They're gonna be wearing shoe covers anyway, so that's not such a big deal. They're gonna have their hair pulled back. They're gonna practice the hygiene process. They're going to practice showing up on time. So this is important. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the pickup and the drop off process because that's where the cleaning day starts. What does the cleaning day look like? So the cleaning day, and there are 4 things that will be part of this training. The first one will be pick up and drop off. And we already talked about the 60-second rule, but the 60-second rule also applies to pick up and drop off. We're going to talk about packing the cleaning caddy. We're going to talk about inventory of supplies and the inventory checklist. And then we're going to talk about the arrival presentation. So part of this training, and this is something that's going to happen at your office. This is a training where they're not on site. You're not at a customer's house while you're training this section. The whole cleaning process, we're going to talk about what happens when you show up at a customer's house, when you show up to pick up your cleaning supplies in the morning. If you only have 1 employee, I recommend that you start this process because every employee that you hire thereafter will fall in line with this process. And if it's a well-oiled machine, you as the business owner will get in the habit of doing this systematically every single day. Now, I want to start for just a second and say, what does the start of your day look like right now? Many cleaning business owners say, well, just swing by my house in the morning and pick up some cleaning supplies. So the new hire shows up whenever they feel like it, between 8, 9, sometime in the morning. Maybe they say show up at 9 and the new hire comes at 10 after 9. Have them show up at a specific time. When they show up, the house cleaner is, and this is the cleaning business owner, they're still getting their kids off to school. Hang on a second, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, whatever. And the new hire is like kicking around for 10 or 15 minutes and a lot of time is wasted. From day one, what you've said is, I don't value my time. And in the morning, I'm really disorganized and haphazard. So what happens is this. From then on, the new hire shows up 10 or 15 minutes late because they know you're going to waste 10 or 15 minutes of their time. Now you're waiting on them. They're waiting on you. It's kind of a debacle in the morning, getting out the door, getting the cleaning supplies. Maybe you forgot some stuff. When you get to a customer's house, you may or may not have the stuff that you need. And what you've told your new hire, if you do not have a pickup and drop off system that is really strict, what you tell them is, I'm kind of winging it. This is not a real job. And it kind of doesn't matter what happens in the morning. So this is really, really important. What we're going to do is we have a standard operating procedure where they're going to show up at exactly a certain time every single day. And it might be 8:58 a.m. if they're going to be at your house at 9 o'clock. 8:58 a.m. And you run it just like a carpool line at a school. And what happens is, we have a standard operating procedure that's all written out, and I will leave links in the notes for you guys for that. But basically what it is it is a starting and a drop-off process where what happens is the cleaning technician will arrive at a designated time, exactly the same time every day, and they're going to get in that carpool lane. And if there are 2, 3, 5, 10 employees, it will be staggered. Somebody arrives at 8:58 a.m., somebody arrives at 8:59, somebody arrives at 9 a.m., somebody arrives at 9:01, 9:02, 9:03, 9:04, whatever the time is before you guys begin for the day. And as they approach the house, What's going to happen is they're going to get out of their car. And while they get out of their car, you're going to come out to their car and you're going to bring them. It doesn't have to be you, it can be somebody that you hire, but someone will bring out the cleaning equipment for the day and the cleaning caddies that are fully stocked. While you are inspecting their car, you're going to inspect the inside and the outside of their car. And this whole entire process takes 60 seconds. Okay. So 60 seconds, they go through the drive-through, they get out of their car, they grab their cleaning supplies, they load them into their car if they're using their personal vehicle. Because you don't want to bang up their company vehicle and then they say, oh, you scratched my car door or whatever. They're going to load up their own car. You bring the cleaning supplies out. If there's a vacuum, bring out the vacuum. If there's a mop, bring out the mop. If there's a broom, bring out the broom. If there are cleaning caddies, bring out the cleaning caddies. If there's personal protective equipment, bring out the personal protective equipment. You're going to bring everything out that they need for the job that day. They're going to load up their car while you inspect their car. You're going to do a 360 around their car. You're going to make sure there's no mud and dirt and grime and all the things on their car. Their car doesn't say wash me on the back and handwritten notes in the dust. It's going to be clean, and that there's no visible garbage that when you open the door, it falls out onto the ground. Okay. Is this a clean car that when it shows up in front of a customer's house and it sits on the street for 4 hours, this looks like, oh yes, this is part of a cleaning company. So if they're using their own personal vehicle, you do an inspection. If it is a company vehicle that you are providing, you also do the inspection. Okay. So at the top of every day, you as the business owner or the lead, the person that's in charge of this process is going to inspect the in and outside of the car. The cleaning technician is going to load the car. They're going to share with you anything that you need to know, and you've got 60 seconds to process this person and give them the work order for the day. So along with their cleaning supplies, there's the work order. They're going to look at that and say, yes, that's where I think I'm going. It's got an alarm code. It's got any special requirements. Like if it says leave the dog outside when you're done for the day, it will be specified on the work order. There's going to be a number where they can call you if there are any emergencies or if anything weird happens, or if they get there and the house is super cluttered, or if they get there and the customer has a whole new checklist. If anything weird malfunctions, it's all right there and they have a way to contact you. Okay. So this is a very quick, very precise, very right down to the minute system. And then once they're done, they're going to go ahead and they're going to go off on their job. And so that's about 60 seconds. At the end of the day, you're going to repeat the exact same process. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure when they come back, they're going to unload their cleaning supplies, their cleaning caddy, the vacuums, the mops, the whatever it is that they're going to leave with you for processing clean cloths or dirty cloths that need to be washed. And you're going to double check and make sure they brought no trash home with them. The trash is not to be left from the customer's house. Okay, it's left at the customer's house. You are not a garbage disposal. You are not a landfill. They do not bring garbage back to you. And so you do not want it in their car. So you want to make sure that their cars are clean, going and coming. And once they leave your house, they are now done for the day. So whatever garbage they want to put in their car between now and maybe they want to stop at the drive-thru on the way home, that's on them. But it's got to be cleaned out before the next day because they're a representation of your brand. Right? So once this is specified up front, there are no surprises, but this is the standard operating procedure for drop off and pickup, and it lasts about 60 seconds. The reason it's 60 seconds is this, and we learned this the hard way. At the end of the day, the new hire, because we spent 90 days of training them and we listened to them while we were training them, and we answered their questions, there's this easy window where they're like, oh, I can just chitty chat and I can just say whatever's on my mind, and the cleaning business owner will be my free therapist. That's not how it works. So if we train them, like starting tomorrow when they go out on a job, when we train them, this is a 60-second process. Get in, get out. The first few days, you're going to remind them, this can only take us 60 seconds because the next person is in line. And you schedule them in 1-minute increments. So this person drives through, they do their thing, they leave. The next person drives through, they do their thing, they leave. The next person drives through. And you see, it's a little system. It's going to take you 10 or 15 minutes in the morning to get everybody processed and out the door. The challenge is if you let everybody hang out and visit with each other and chitty chat, whatever, they're now visiting with each other and they're wasting a lot of time. And the problems we've seen is that Cleaning employees will waste an hour of the business owner's time in the morning and an hour in the evening just picking up their stuff. And that is not productive for anybody. So you have to be very clear from day one. It's a 60-second in the morning, 60-second drop off. That's it. And then cut it off. And as a business owner, it's going to make you feel like, oh, I'm being rude to them. You're not being rude. You're creating that really tight structure that we talked about when we were kids. We knew what came next, and we felt safe because we knew what came next. When you have an employee and they know what comes next, and they know what the expectations are, and they know how you operate, what that does is this. They're like, holy smack. I just worked for another cleaning company and they didn't do any of this. And so they were really disorganized and they waste a lot of my time. And they never could find the cleaning supplies. And there was always stuff missing. And I went to jobs and I didn't know what the job orders were. Right. But if you're really specific, you have to know, oh, I've got 8 people showing up this morning. I got to have 8 work orders. I need 8 cleaning caddies ready to go, or I need 16 cleaning caddies if they're each doing 2 houses. And so whatever the setup for your day is, it has to be really well systematized. But because you know exactly what's happening, you'll know I got to have so many cloths for each of the cleaners, and I got to have so many, all the inventory stocked. It's going to make all the things that you do so much easier because you know what the system is as well. And then when you document it, you can outsource that. And so everybody playing by the rules will make it easy and it becomes systematic. So systematic that one day it's like the jump rope game. You can jump out and someone else can jump in. And instead of you running the business yourself, like a hamster will, like, every day you're just trying to make a go of it. What happens is it becomes such a well-oiled machine, anybody can run it. I know, let me repeat that. Anybody can run it. So what happens then is you can train somebody else to run your business while you go focus on other elements of the business. Okay. So this is the training workflow process. All right. Do I have any questions on the training workflow process? I want to make sure we answer those before we move on. All right. Well, I'm just going to have a drink and we'll talk about tools and products. The tools and products are really important. Oh, we do have a question on the process. How long did it take you, and this is Maria's question, how long did it take for you to hand over the reins of your business? That's a trick question because I still run my business. But what I have done is I have handed off little elements of my business, probably since about the 3rd month in my business. And so my rule of thumb is when and I stop in 15-minute increments throughout my day. And I do this to this day. When I'm doing something, I say to myself, what am I doing right now? And then I say, am I the best person to be doing this? Is this the highest return on my investment for me to be doing this in my business? And if the answer is yes, then I schedule that in and that becomes one of my tasks. If the answer is no, I'm not the best person for this. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because it makes sense for this part of my business. Okay, so how am I doing it? And I sit there literally in a Microsoft Word document. How am I doing this? And I'll write a little description, a little job description. This is what I'm doing right now. This is why I'm doing it. Like, this is my objective. And then I break it down and I say, for this task, I'm using this software or I'm using these materials. And I might take a picture of the materials. For example, I might be doing inventory. Am I the best person to be doing inventory? So if I'm not, these are the cleaning supplies that we use in our business. These are the numbers or the SKU numbers for the reorder numbers that we use from HD Supply, or we buy these from Costco, or we buy them from Walmart, or wherever you source your products. This is a picture of these items, and I will include little pictures like this is Autoban, or this is Crud Cutter, this is a Swiffer Duster, or whatever. And I might take a picture of it so that the next person that I'm going to outsource that task to can look at that exact picture and go, oh, we buy the yellow dusters, not the blue ones, right? You want to be very specific, and you might even specify why. Once you have broken down, here's exactly how to do this task. How often is this task required? How long does this task take? How much is this project worth? And the reason I add that to it is this a 1-hour project or is this a 15-minute project? And if it's a 15-minute project and our pay rate is $20 an hour, this might only be a $15 task. If it's a whole hour project or a 3-hour project, maybe it's a $60 task. And so I would put a value with that. And then if I'm not the best person to do it and I don't have anybody on my team that can help me do that, then every Monday morning, and we do this in my business, every Monday morning, I have a board, and you'll see the regular calendar where we have all of our customer jobs for cleaning, but I will also throw extra projects up on that board. And the extra project might be buying inventory of cleaning supplies for our cleaning team. And there might be an employee that's like, "Oh, I would way rather do that than clean." Well, they don't get to do that in the first 90 days. They're on probation. So they don't get to pick up any extra projects for the first 90 days. But after the first 90 days, they could show up on a Monday morning and go, "I totally want that job. I could do that every week." And then they block in that extra 3-hour window and they block that into their schedule and they show up every week and say, "Yeah, I want that job." And then they do that and that is added on to their regular schedule. And so there are extra projects that every business has. And it's going to be accounting, it's going to be conversations with employees, it's going to be employee reviews and evaluations, it's going to be customer service, it's going to be email marketing. I mean, there are a whole bunch of things that every business needs. And as a business owner, you can try to do it all yourself. But the reality is, you're probably not going to do all of it very well. We don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Like that's not gonna help us grow our business. And so right now, even if you're a solo operator, ask yourself right now, what can I outsource? And so in a perfect world, we would be able to outsource a whole bunch of things. But if you can only outsource little tiny segments, then outsource little tiny segments. I know when I started a YouTube channel, I wasn't very good at making thumbnails. So I outsourced thumbnails and I didn't have anybody to make thumbnails for me. So I went on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. There are a bunch of people on Fiverr that can help you with all sorts of your business. And there was a guy that did thumbnails. That was specifically all he did. And the only thing I paid him to do is to create thumbnails for my YouTube channel. That's it. That's the only thing I hired him to do. And so instead of me sitting there spending an hour on a thumbnail, it made more sense for me to hire somebody else and he'd create a pack of 10. And so I'd give him 10 shows and he'd do 10 thumbnails, you know? So there are ways to outsource elements of your business. So I hope that answered the question. But I've been handing stuff over from literally, I don't know, like the third month in the business. And I'm still to this day outsourcing stuff. And so the more things I learn, the more things I'm like, oh, that would be awesome if our company did that. But I don't do that very well. So how do I package that so that I can then give that as one of a special project to somebody that either works in our company or somebody that doesn't? And I say somebody that does because if somebody knows your company culture and they already understand how you work and how you operate and what you say and how you believe and all the things, they're a much better fit for your business just to pick up a small project, even if it's only an extra 2 hours a week, than it is to try to grab somebody from Fiverr that knows nothing about your company and nothing about your business. And you kind of have to show them the ropes and tell them how you operate and all the things, right? So anyway, all right, so back to the cleaning training for the tools and products. We have tools and products in our business. How do we use them? And so we're going to have to train our new hires every single time we use a vacuum. We want to do a 360 walk around of the vacuum. I want to check the vacuum. I want to check the cord. I want to check the plug. I want to check the beater bars. I want to make sure there's no hair rolled up in the roller. I want to make sure that the canister or the bag is empty, all the things. When you're done with it, you want to leave it in the exact same condition. So if we're using the customer's vacuum, we got to make sure that we do a 360 walk around before we use it. Make sure that there's no damage. If it's missing a plug, we need to document that before we use it. If we try to use it, well, you can't use it if it's missing a plug, but if you don't document that, then you're going to get nailed with that as a damage that you did. So if you leave the vacuum exactly as you found it, it's in good working order for the customer to use between cleans. Yay. and it stays at the customer's house. That way you're not cross-contaminating from home to home, and you're not carrying a vacuum out to your car that will damage the doors of your car as you load it in and unload it from your car. So how do we do that? You got to teach your employees how to do that. There's also a proper handling of cleaning cloths so that we don't cross contaminate. We're going to have a conversation with them. And again, this is not on site. This is something that happens in your office. You can show them the different colored cloths and say, we use green for the kitchen, we use yellow for the bathrooms, we use orange for hardwood and dusting, we use blue for glass. You go through all the different ways that you use microfiber cloths, what happens to them once they're dirty and you don't want to mix them all together again, how you keep them separate with little grocery bags, or you have a little separator in your car. At the end of every job, here's what happens, and then they go for cleaning. At the end, when you take them out and you leave them with the cleaning business owner at the end of the day. So there's a way to do that. We also want to talk about paper towels. Most of us use paper towels for toilets. And so we got to make sure that our new hires understand that the paper towels are only for the toilets. We've had many people that will clean an entire house and windows and all the things with paper towels, and they go through 4, 5, 6 rolls of paper towels at one house. That's not economical, and it's not kind to the environment, right? So we want to make sure that we're being frugal with the materials that we use, because again, that's money that comes out of our business. And paper towels if you're using Bounty paper towels at $1 a roll, and that's conservative, you're $5, $6 per house. That gets really expensive, right? So we want to make sure that that one roll of paper towels can last you for a week if you're only using it on toilets. So here's how we use our supplies. Here's how we conserve our supplies. Here's how we have to make our supplies last. Here's what you should look for when you show up at the beginning of every day and your inventory is stocked. So you want to have those conversations. Now they're ready to go out on the job. So we have a couple different areas of cleaning training, but what we're going to do next is we're going to take them out on the job, and we're going to do a room by room breakdown. And we're going to teach them how to clean bathrooms, how to clean kitchens, what we clean in a bedroom. I know the question comes up a lot, do we make the customers' beds? If your worksheet says that you make beds, then you make beds. If your worksheet says leave the sheets on the bed and we'll make it if the sheets are on the bed, that's what your employee needs to know. If you don't make beds at all, that's what your employee needs to know. There are a couple different ways that the employee is going to get paid, and we want to explain that. We want to explain in the process of cleaning a house that we're going to start from left to right. You can start from right to left. It doesn't matter, however your business does it. I like to go in and go straight into the room, straight across from the door, and I like to start and work my way around and then come back out through the door. Some people start from left to right, right to left, top to bottom. It's always top to bottom. You want to clean this stuff at the top and work your way down so that dust falls down to the floor, and then you vacuum your way out of the room. And so these are ways that will conserve time and energy. And time and energy is really, really crucial when it comes to training a house cleaner, because if they don't have their cleaning caddy with them and it doesn't have the stuff they need for that job, then what's going to happen is they're going to leave and they're going to go to another room to go find the cleaning supplies. They're going to go out to their car to find the cleaning supplies. Every time they take extra steps, it wastes time. And that's why we wear an apron when we clean, or we have cargo pants. I know a lot of guys won't wear an apron, but they've got the cargo pants, and so they've got their OXO deep cleaning brushes there. They've got a clip on the hook where they've got like a cloth on the loop of their pants, and maybe they've got like a work belt where they have like the cleaning supply, or they've got a Swiffer duster in their back pocket. It's possible to move from area to area in a house and have all the supplies you need on your person. And I recommend that even if you don't have all your supplies, I recommend that you carry a razor with you, and a razor is going to be one of those little flat razors with a cap on it, so that you can use it as a little scrape if you've got to scrape up stickers or little pieces of gunk or paint or things like that that are hard to get up. You have a metal razor and a plastic razor, and there's one on each end. The other thing that I recommend is that you have a flashlight with you. And I know many people will use the flashlight on their phone. That's also fine. I do recommend that you have your phone on your person at all time and that you have your car key. In the event that you get caught outside a customer's house, you want to have your key so you can get back inside. Um, and I say the key to your car. It's a safety thing. If you have to run to safety, get in your car and drive away, right? Make sure that you have your car key and that you have either the house key if there's not a code, an alarm code, and that you also have your phone. So those are your safety issues. On your cleaning person, I suggest that you have OXO deep cleaning brushes. It comes in a pack of two. There's a big one and a small one, and I use them for everything. I highly recommend those. I also recommend a couple of cloths in your apron. And the cloths, one is going to be a glass cloth. So anytime you run across like a computer screen, it could be a piece of glass, it could be a mirror, it could be anything that's fragile, you'll be able to clean it with that one cloth. And that way you're not going back to your cleaning caddy and getting special cleaning stuff for that. It's just that clean cloth will do it. I also recommend that you keep a furniture cloth with you. In every room of the house, pretty much every room, there's a piece of furniture. And so with that, you just pull out your furniture cloth and that allows you to wipe it down. And that way you're not running back to your cleaning caddy looking for furniture polish and which cloth do I use? You've got a furniture cloth with you and a glass cloth with you at all times. Okay. So by having a couple of things with you, it's going to prevent you from leaving the job, going into another room. Where did I put that? Oh, it's cross contaminated. I put it somewhere else. And just mismanagement of time because you're not prepared. So this is the third day. And this is going to happen while they're on the job with you. Okay. So what they're going to do is they're going to shadow you on the job. So there's a 4-step process. The first one is the shadowing process, where the new hire is paired with a seasoned cleaner. In the beginning, if you are the cleaning business owner, this will be you. And so you'll be training the new hire, and they will come with you, and you're going to be giving them instructions. Okay, so we're going to hire them for 4 hours. During that 4-hour window, we're going to be giving them instructions. All right, now we're in the bathroom. And as we're in the bathroom, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with the lights and we're going to work our way down. So we're going to dust the lights, put the Swiffer duster back in your back pocket. What comes next? And I recommend that you ask those questions as you're the boss. Okay. What comes next? And they're going to say, well, I'm working my way down. The mirror comes next. And you say, yes, that's correct. So you want to ask the questions, and you'll see that the number 3 here is repeat. Okay. So I'm going to give you instructions. I'm going to have you repeat it. What comes next? Oh, we work from top to bottom. Okay, so what comes next? We're going to do the mirror. Then what comes next? Well, the faucets. Yes. What comes next? The vanities. Yes. What comes next? The cabinet fronts. Yes. What comes next? And so by having them explain to you, you're letting them know what comes next. You're also they're letting you know that they understand the scope of the work. So by having them repeat what they just heard, then it gets to the point where when you clean it again, the first time you clean it, you're the only one cleaning it. You're going to have them tell you how to clean it. What comes next? What do I clean next? And if you do something special, like let's say that you go into a bathroom and you do all of your wet sprays first, you're going to explain the process. Before I clean up any hair, any dust, anything, I'm going to spray down the shower, the toilet, and the tub. And that way the chemicals can be working while we're doing the rest of the stuff. You'll explain that. And so when I come into a bathroom, what is the first thing that I do? Because there will be more than one bathroom usually in a house. Let them explain to you then on the next bathroom. And they go, you put your wet sprays first. And you go, yes, that's correct. Awesome. Okay, so what comes next? Then you start with the lights. Okay, great. What comes next? The mirrors. Okay, great. What comes next? And let them tell you. So once they have a really good grasp of what comes next, you're going to clean everything for the first couple of days. And as you clean everything, you're going to have them guiding you. You've explained it to them, you're showing them, and you're explaining the reasons why. The reason that I use the little spatula on my OXO deep cleaning brush underneath the rim of the sink is so that when I scrape that gunk around that accumulated from toothpaste and soap and all this stuff is because it won't scratch the porcelain sink. You're going to ask the question again, why do I use the spatula? You use the spatula because then it doesn't scrape the porcelain sink. The reason you want them to repeat this back to you, and this is a really important step in the training process, in just a minute, when they get really good at cleaning, they're going to be the person training the next new hire. You're not always going to be training the next new hire, they are. And so, for every person that you train, how you train them is how they will train other people. So, you want to be very specific about the process you use in having them shadow you. So if you're not sure, if you've never trained somebody before, if you're winging it, if you're making it up and you've never done training before and you're new to the house cleaning business, as you're cleaning, like go out tomorrow when you're cleaning and ask yourself, why am I cleaning this bathroom this way? Um, I didn't really ever think about it. Okay, great. If I was training someone, how would I clean this bathroom? And you say, well, I would start with the ceiling fans or I'd start with the lights. Okay, great. Now that I've done this, what comes next? And ask yourself what comes next. Why does this come next? Does the medicine cabinet come before the mirror? Why? Does the vanity come before the fronts of the cabinets? Why? And once you're clear about why, well, because, then I've cleaned everything off and all the dust has fallen to the floor and there's nothing else that's going to get on those cabinets. Okay, great. Now that you have a very clear answer, now you're prepared to train somebody. So if you're not sure, start walking yourself through it in your mind as you're cleaning. If you walk into the bathroom and you sweep the floor first before you start cleaning, why did you do that? Is there a valid reason for doing that? And there very well may be. I've been inside homes where I walk in and there's so much hair, dog hair, dust, and people hair, that it doesn't make sense to spray anything down or it's all going to get just wet and mucky. And then I'm going to have a bigger mess to clean up. There are bathrooms I've gone in where I vacuumed first. But why did I do that? And is that standard for all homes? And it might not be standard. So what you say is, when I come to this house, and this is the scenario where there's more dog hair, there's dust, and there's people hair than there is that it makes sense to clean, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to vacuum all of that up first so that I can set the slate for a good clean. And that way it's going to save me time later on because I'm not kicking dust and people hair all over, right? So there might be a valid reason for doing it, and there might be exceptions. And so I wish there was like a quick, fast, one size fits all cleaning, and there's not. There are different areas, and different areas have different sensitivities. I know that in North Carolina, there's a lot of pollen in the spring. And so that's an issue that we deal with. I know in Las Vegas, there's a lot of sand. And so you'll have like sand storms and dust storms that's a little bit different from other areas. So there are different sensitivities based on other things. I know in Florida, you got to make sure that there are temperature issues. So you want to make sure that, the temperature is it's set a certain way. Otherwise, you're going to pass out from heat stroke. You just have to be careful. Okay. So there's not one size fits all, but you're going to explain to your new hires how it works. Then you're going to reverse the process. And this is number 4. When you reverse the process, what happens is you're going to let them do a solo clean. And when you do a solo clean, you're now going to be the person that they ask. So they're going to be doing the solo clean and they're going to be asking you what comes next. You know that they know, but you want them to train you. Okay. So now they're going to be acting as if they're training you. And why is that? It's because we're training them to train the next person. So now you're going to clean, you're going to show me, you're going to reverse exactly what I did for the last 2 houses, only you're going to clean the next 2 houses. You're going to tell me exactly what you're doing as you're doing it, and then you're going to ask me why. Now, this sounds like a really weird process, but we learn by doing, and then we learn by teaching. And so when they teach you, and you're the expert, right? You're the business owner or you're the lead on the job. When they teach you, you're now training them to train someone and have that person train them back. So now they understand the whole process and now they are ready to train someone else. Now, every single time, and this is going to be true for all the new hires, whenever they go out on a job, they're gonna go into the bathroom and they're gonna look around and say, "Okay, what am I supposed to start with first?" And then they're gonna say, "And then what comes next? And then what comes next?" Because that's how you train them. And so they're gonna do pretty well with the training. So I get lots and lots of people that are like, "Oh, it's so hard to train new people." It is if there's no system. If there's no system and you have no idea what you're doing and you have no idea how to explain it and you don't explain it very well, what you've done is you've trained the new hire that there's no system and that you don't know what you're doing and that you don't do it very well. And they're going to repeat that to the person they try to hire. And I don't mean the person they try to hire, the person they try to train. So you want to make sure that you're very specific. Now, what's the easiest way to go through every room of a house? It's with a checklist, right? If you are not familiar with or you have not revisited for a while course number 3, it's all on worksheets and checklists. Go back through that. It's really simple, but it's set up for success. And if you're not sure and you're like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be training the new hire on, literally go through the checklist and explain every reason why everything is on that checklist. And it's horizontal surfaces and it's wiping things down and it's dusting things and emptying the trash. And I mean, it's like it's no-brainer kind of stuff. I say no-brainer, but it's very simple. And if they ever get tripped up and they get scared and you're not there and they're cleaning on their own, go through the checklist. Just go through the checklist. Go through the checklist. All right. Any questions on the training process before we move on? Maria says, do you use a different cloth for high touch surfaces? Yes. Yes, I do. We're going to use a different cloth for high touch surfaces because we're going to have a general cloth, and that's going to be for walls and general areas. But that's going to be with our disinfecting stuff. But you're going to be doing light switches. You're going to be doing door handles. You're going to be doing refrigerator doors, microwave door handles, doorknobs, the backs of chairs. You're going to be all high touch areas. And so when you're in a room, if you have that on your person, I use a little carabiner clips right on my hip. It just pops off, and you can do that for the high touch areas. Put it right back on your hip, and it's there with you at all times. It doesn't touch anything else. It's not cross contaminated with anything else. Used for high touch areas and your disinfectant spray. So different colors for different things. But what's really cool is when the homeowners watch you on the cameras in their home security systems, they're very aware that you're not cross contaminating. And so when your new hires are watching you as well and they learn the process, then also they will repeat what you do. So it makes it really easy from here through forever for everybody to do the same. And I don't care what your system is, but I recommend that you keep it the same. Like for all the houses, use green in the kitchen. For all the houses, use yellow in the bathroom. For all the houses, use blue on the glass or whatever your process is. Don't be switching it around from house to house because that's super confusing and no one can remember it. So whatever your system is, use it always for all houses, including your own house at home, and you can't fail. All right, assessment and certification. The day will come. Oh, and Maria says, but you wouldn't use that in the bathrooms, right? Yes. Let me go back for just a second. Yes, in the bathrooms, you use yellow, and we use yellow for bathrooms. When you go to the next bathroom, you use another yellow cloth. When you go to another bathroom, you use another yellow cloth. We don't swap the same cloth from bathroom to bathroom, if I'm understanding correctly. And when you get to the toilets, you use a paper towel. So we use a cloth in the bathroom that is not used on the toilet. We don't use any and oddly enough, the toilet is really not that dirty of a place. It can be if somebody pees on it, but the most of the time, I mean, it's clean water inside the toilet. If we're flushing and washing the toilet out, keeping the toilet bowl ring clean, toilets should be pretty clean for the most part. But because of the perception of toilets, we only want to use paper towels, and then we discard those in the household waste. We don't carry those with us. We don't take them anywhere, and we don't use the same cloth on the toilets that we would use in sinks or tubs or any of those things. So the cloths that we use in the bathroom are for the other areas, and then paper towels for the toilets only, and then a different cloth for every bathroom. Did that answer the question?" And she said, "Thanks. So I guess we're good." Awesome. All right. So assessments and certifications. This is really, really important. And this is important for this reason. Everybody that gets hired for a job wants to know that they have achieved something. They want to know, like, hey, I learned something. I finished training. And if you're training, it goes for 90 days and then like you just fall off. Like there's no assessment at the end, or there's no certification, or there's no finishing process. It's kind of anticlimactic, and they don't know, like, I accomplished something, right? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that there's a certification process where they've gone through all the training, where we have verified they've gone through all the training. We know that they know chemical safety. They know how to read safety data sheets. They know what the pictograms are. They know about cross-contamination. They know about eco-cleaning supplies. They know about how to manage their time. They know about how to clean cleaning equipment between different jobs. I mean, we want to make sure that they understand all of those things. When they understand all of those things, there should be some kind of a celebration, like, hooray, now you're a professional cleaner, right? And I would say go so far as to throw a little party and give a certificate and make sure that they understand that they now have arrived, right? We want to make them feel good about the training that they've gone through. At the end of the 90-day window, they're now off probation. That is also something to be celebrated. So, off probation means they're not getting paid by the hour anymore, they're getting paid by the job. And if we have advanced them properly, we're now moving them to a job, and they're going to be a solo cleaner, and they're going to go out on a house, and they're going to clean the house by themselves, and they're getting paid on the whole house, not by the hour. So if we have a house, and I'm just making this up, but let's say the house is $300 and they get 40% of that as their pay. They get the whole 40% when the house is clean, not by the hour. So if it takes them 3 hours to clean the house, um, I don't have my phone here, and I want to add the math up properly. But instead of getting paid by the hour, they get paid by the whole house, and usually it's going to add up to be more than their $15 or $20 per hour. It's usually going to be like $23 per hour by the time that it breaks down and they finish the house. So they have to be efficient, they have to be effective, and the faster they work, the less time they're spending, and it's going to teach them the value of time is money. And so, can they do 2 houses in the course of a day, or can they only do 1? And if they're really slow, they can only do 1, which means they only get paid for the time that they work. So, this is the bad part. If they're really, really slow and they're only able to do 1 house in a day, instead of making $20 an hour, maybe they only made 10, but they got paid on the house. They got paid on the house, not the hour. So by switching them at the end of the 90 days, what that does is that really teaches them, I got to learn as much as I can. I got to get up to speed. And we want to get them up to speed as fast as possible. What we do is we take 10% back of all of the earnings that come in from the company, and we put it inside a little fund. And what we do is we pay, it's called pay for performance. At the end of the 90 days, they're eligible for pay for performance. What this is this: if there's no breakage and there are no callbacks, the money that's left, and I say the money that's left because that's where the money goes, 10% emergency fund that goes to breakages and callbacks. And if there's no breakages and no callbacks, that money gets split up with the employees at the end of the month. What that does is that trains the employees, like, oh, hey, so I broke something, I better pay for it on my own. It's going to be less money if I pay for it on my own than if we don't have any breakages and I get profit sharing at the end of the month. So what that does is that encourages everybody to be careful, to be responsible, and to make sure that, they're not bringing the whole team down by, well, I had 11 breakages this month. So be less clumsy, but be fast and efficient and effective. Okay. So that's going to be the assessment and the certification. So we do this at the end of the 90-day window. At the end of the 90-day window, there is also the ability to swap shifts. And what that is, and this is also a really, really big benefit. Not only are they setting their own hours, but they also get to swap shifts. So let's say, for example, that I was scheduled to work this week, and then my mother and my sisters decided to go to Disneyland. And that has nothing to do with any of my scheduling or anything, but they invited me to go with them. I could say, well, I'm supposed to work and I have jobs, but I could swap my shifts this week and someone else could pick up for me and I could then go to Disneyland with my mom and my sisters. And so that allows people to adjust their scheduling when they were supposed to be working by swapping schedules with someone else. We've talked in another time about having a Google Calendar where on that Google Calendar you put up all of the jobs for the week and the employees get to pick off the jobs that they want to work. This is the time after the 90-day probation window where the employees have proven themselves, where they say, I now get to pick up whatever shifts I want. So let's say they were working Monday through Thursday from 9 until 1. That was their 16 hours a week for their shift. So what they really wanted to work was they wanted to work Friday, Saturday, and they just wanted to work all day Friday, Saturday and be done with it. At the end of the 90 days, if they wanted to swap shifts around with other employees and you had the jobs that were blocked out for them to do that, they could swap shifts with other employees and just only work on the weekends, which allows them to go to school full time or allows them to work another full time job that has health benefits or whatever. So after the 90 days, letting people pick up their own shifts and work the schedules around, as a cleaning business owner, that is not your job. That is not your responsibility to swap around the schedules and spend hours a week trying to make that work. By having a great big calendar, you let them swap around their schedules and make their own schedules so that all the jobs are filled. And if they can't find somebody to work their shifts for them, they are obligated to still show up and work it. So within 4 hours of the shift change, if somebody hasn't picked it up, they are obligated to work that shift. And if they don't work a shift that they were scheduled to work, then they lose their job after three strikes. The first time they get written up, second time it's a warning written up, and then the third time they no longer work for your company. And so knowing that, they're like, "Oh, I understand the rules. Okay. Okay." And they will jump through hoops to try to make sure that someone else is covering for them. Okay, so there's that. The next, do we have any questions on that before we move on? Okay, moving on because we're running out of time. I just love this. I just love this onboarding process. It's so cool. All right, so the job growth is when we hired the employee, we had a conversation with them about, are you here because you want to be an employee, or are you here because you want to learn as much as you possibly can so that you can go off and start on your own cleaning company? There is a lot of job growth. Okay. So from day one, there are a lot of people that will say, no, I'm only here to learn as much as I can so I can go start my own business. That's about 20% of your work staff. The other 80% are going to stay with you and they're just going to be employees. But with the 20%, there's a fast growth program where after the 90 days, what we do is we invite them to join us in learning how to do deep cleans, learning how to do special projects, mommy's helper packages, Airbnbs, vacation rentals, all the different things that our company does. And it could be extra jobs as well. It could be admin tasks that you have because that's part of business growth. It could also be bidding jobs where I know that once somebody has been inside a house and they've cleaned a house for 90 days, they know about how long it takes to clean a house. I don't want anybody out trying to pick up business and do walkthroughs and all that stuff until they've been through that 90-day process because I don't want them to go, oh, sure, we can do all that stuff. I can do that in 2 hours. If they haven't cleaned, no, they can't. They don't know that. No, they can't. And so I want them to have at least 90 days experience where they've been cleaning and they know how hard it is to clean. They've physically cleaned. They've done the vacuuming and they're like, oh, my shoulder, oh, my back, I hurt. Because at the end of the day, you do hurt. And if you're not up to it, I don't want uh, anybody bidding jobs where they have no idea what they're promising. Okay. And also, within 90 days, they will have dealt with a lot of customers. So they will have met a lot of customers face to face. They will understand the 60-second rule for getting in and out of a customer's house, 60-second rule for getting in and out with your cleaning supplies at the top and the bottom of the day. They will understand how to interact with people's pets. They understand a lot about the business. And then if at that point they want to start training other employees, there's a job. If they want to go out and do nothing but walkthroughs, there's a job. If they want to add that on to their existing workflow, there's there's money in that too. And what you can do is you can work out a program where maybe for every account that they pick up, there's an immediate $100 in there for them. So let's say they work a regular cleaning job and they're just an employee. If they're leaving for the day and a neighbor says, "Hey, could you come give me a quick quote?" And they go in and they do a quote and they do a walkthrough and they pick up that job, that might mean an extra $100 to them. And if that's the case, there are a lot of savvy cleaners that say, "Hey, I'll tell you what, like to go work my regular shift because in a worst case scenario, I make money per house. But in a best case scenario, I do one walkthrough at the end of every day in the neighborhoods that I'm working in. And I can pick up an extra $500 a week just by doing a walkthrough at the end of every day." Right? So there are ways that you can have your employees grow with the company in multiple ways after the first 90-day period. And so what you want to do is you want to paint this picture from early on that, hey, if you are just an employee, you are just on the slow track to happiness or whatever. You just work your shifts, do the thing, and go home. And if you're on the fast track, then we're going to start putting you through a process where we're going to teach you the walkthroughs. And we're going to go through a bunch more additional training at the end of the 90-day window so that you can learn how to do walkthroughs and you can go clean Airbnbs and all the different things. This becomes really, really important because the day will come when, I hope it's from day one, where all of your customers will sign up packages for maintenance cleaning and deep cleaning, right? And then special packages that you have created while you were doing the walkthrough. And if that's the case, who's going to do those? And so if you have somebody that's on the fast track, that's the person that you want to pull off of your regular maintenance cleaning and have them start on all the different stuff. Because one person can go and do one deep cleaning like every Friday. They can do a deep clean every Friday and maintenance cleaning through the rest of the week. They've already been trained on all the maintenance cleaning. And then when you get ready to have a new person shadow somebody, they're going to go with the existing person that already knows the deep cleans, the B&Bs. You're going to have them shadow on mommy's helper packages. And so for every special package that you have, you're going to have somebody on your team that can then teach that so that you physically don't have to be that person that teaches. You're going to have to in the beginning, but then that person will become the expert and that will be the person that trains the other new hires. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on the job growth before we move on? All right, moving on. We are running out of time, but moving on. Record keeping. We talked a little bit about record keeping last time. I want to touch on it real briefly because the record keeping is really important. I see. Yes, you have questions. Go ahead and ask your questions, and I will answer them before we go. Record keeping is really, really important. I showed you in the previous one that we did about having a shared Google Drive. We also use Lingo app for all of the employee files. This is really important because from day one, I want to make sure that I have all my documents and all my records in place. This is really important because if at the end of 90 days, the employee that I have decides to go out and start their own business, I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting with somebody that already has a shared Google Drive with us. They already have access to our company computers. They already have access to all of the programs that they created for us, like before and after pictures or whatever. And now as an independent contractor, if they leave and go out on their own, they can still do all of those tasks and keep the same login passwords. They can keep the same whatever it is that they're doing so that it's your proprietary information. What I mean by that is if you have a Google Drive that's a shared drive that has their progress reports, it has their pay stubs, it has their W-2, it has their driver's license information, and they leave at the end of 90 days and they quit and they go start their own cleaning company and they become an independent contractor for your business. You've already vetted them. You've already done a background check on them. They already know your company culture. You're going to leave all of the files intact. You're going to add in a resignation letter. You're going to give them a new job offer as a independent contractor, like here's our new working agreement. They're going to fill out an I-9, which is for the 1099. You're still going to leave them on direct deposit, but you're going to switch them from an employee in QuickBooks over to an independent contractor status. You won't be taking taxes out for them anymore, but they already know everything about your business. They already know how it operates. They already know your company culture. All you did is switch the pay plan and you're going to keep the documents intact. So everything is exactly the same, except now they're their own independent business owner. They make a different percentage and they're paid slightly differently than before. But they already know what a work order looks like. They already know the system that you operate. They know the drop up and pick up system, but they're not picking up cleaning supplies from you now. They're now running their own business. They'll keep their own cleaning supplies at home, but they know how you operate. So they know exactly how to recommend business to you. They know how to interact with new hires that you have. If a new hire is on a job doing a maintenance clean and they drop in to do a deep cleaning, they've already been trained for all of that. Okay. So it's a seamless process when you start really running this like a business. And I want you to think of it as a business. This is not a hobby. This is a business. Cynthia has a question. She said, should walkthroughs be done anytime a client called you, even if you have worked for them before? Should a walkthrough be done anytime a client called you, even if you've done work for them before? Tell me more. Is this like a one-off client? If a one-off client calls me back and I've already done a walkthrough for them before, what I don't have to do a whole new walkthrough again unless like a year has passed. If it's like in the same calendar year, I would ask them if anything's different. Like, did any elder parents move in with you? Did you get any new pets? Did you have any new children? Did you have a children go away like to school or something? Like, what is different in your home? If everything is the same, you could probably keep the same pricing. But I recommend that we go through a new walkthrough with every single client every single year, whether they're a new client or an old client. And for this reason, life changes. Things happen. People get divorced, and suddenly there's like one whole person that's missing from the house and all their stuff. Half the stuff is gone. Or someone might have a kid, and now there's a whole new person there and a whole bunch of new stuff. And so that's a whole bunch of new cleaning and a whole bunch of stuff you never cleaned before. And so life changes. And when people get like 3 dogs and they didn't have any dogs at all last year, whoa, everything is different. And there are little muddy paws everywhere that there didn't used to be. So there has to be a new assessment and a new price. The walkthrough, when we tell our customers from day one that there's a walkthrough and a price increase, it lets them know that every year there will be an evaluation, just like we have an evaluation with our employees. There's an evaluation with our clients. And we're going to go through and we're going to assess priorities. We're going to see how lifestyles have changed, what needs to be changed with the cleaning, and there will be a price increase. And that lets them know that we're going to increase our prices every year because inflation, like the world increased their prices and so did we. Yay. So with the record keeping, we're out of time for today, but keep records, really, really, really good records. And that's the Keeper Security with all the passwords, the password vault. That's the Google Drive that has all everybody's records inside. And then the last one that's on this list is the Google Calendar. And we talked about that really quickly, where we had a Google Calendar where people could take jobs off the calendar, and that's independent contractors and employees. And so with that program in mind, we have a whole team of people that are working together so that you can scale your business up or down based on your lifestyle. If you have a troubled teenager that needs all of your attention, you are not going to be able to do all these things. And so having people in place that work for you that you can outsource some of this stuff to is going to let you step back while other people jump in. And what's really interesting is nothing bad happens. Quick example, and then I'll let you guys go. Yesterday, I was driving down the road there was a car accident and the police were arriving and there were no policemen to jump out and direct traffic. And so there were a whole big line of traffic that had no idea what to do. So what did they do? Well, they started putting on their blinkers and they started letting each other in and they started working their way around the accident. And lo and behold, there were no other accidents. Everybody kind of figured it out. And as a business owner, we think, oh no, there's an accident in our business, like something weird malfunctioned. And if I'm not there, no one will know what to do. But the reality is, if we have a system in place and people have been trained, like all these drivers had been trained, they all were courteous. They all knew the rules of the road. They all let each other in and put on their blinkers and they kind of got over and made space. People will figure it out. Okay. Your employees will figure it out if there's a system. Your job is to create the system and to empower them to use the system and then to use their common sense if you can't be there. Okay. If there's an emergency on your end, the whole business is not going to fall apart. And we don't want your employees to take hostage of you because you didn't have a system and everybody just kind of took control of the business. But they'll follow the systems and procedures and what they were taught if you have a system in place. I have one more question and then we're done. Cynthia says, can I use DIY in a client house? Can I use a DIY? Tell me more about that. I don't know what that means. Um, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to answer that. Um, Cynthia, if you'll hit me up with a DM, I would love to answer that in person so we can have more of a conversation. I will let you guys get back to your time because I respect your time. Thank you so much for today. This was really insightful. And join me again in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about handling customer complaints. It's a really exciting topic and something we all have to learn so that we can teach that to our new employees as well. All right. I will talk to you soon. Until then, hit me up in the Facebook groups and we'll go from there. Thanks again, you guys, and have a great day. You are an awesome audience, and I appreciate your time.